Let's talk about the why. The why is always the most interesting question, is it not? Not just analyzing what we see every day, this soundbite, this headline, but what's the why behind it all? What's the why? What's the why? Well, right now you're seeing something going on across the United States of America, but it's nothing new for you. Frankly, if you're someone on the right, you've gotten used to this. A violent, commie protests going on. They're going on all over the place. Here they are.
Oh, Hamas! Long live Hamas and the rebellion!
Long live Hamas!
We are Hamas!
You're Hamas, wow. That's a good one. You're what? You're Hamas?
Yes, we're all Hamas, eh?
What do you think about the USA? What do you think about USA?
Guys, what do I think about the USA?
Your shirt!
Death to America! My shirt.
What do you think about them burning the American flag?
I love it. Burn it down. Burn it again and again and again.
What do you think about Osama bin Laden in 9/11?
He did what he did because he had to do it.
So it was justified?
I said what I said.
Okay. Honestly, you're probably not even upset. I'm not. Doesn't even get my blood pressure up. Why? I'm used to it. We saw the Antifa, Black Lives Matter, street animals burning down the country during George Floyd's protests. We've seen this after elections, before elections, during elections. We're used to this. You remember after Roe versus Wade got overturned that pregnancy centers were firebombed, vandalized all over the country. We'll get to that in a moment. But why? Well, there are lots of reasons why the street animals do what they do, no question about it. Those individuals, every person you've seen there are reasons. Maybe it's mental illness. Maybe it's just they had parents or educators or parents and educators who taught them that America sucked. Maybe they're on drugs. Many of those people are on drugs. Maybe they're just people who hate themselves. We could go into all those details, but that's not the why we're dealing with here. Why are street communist protests so common in the United States of America? With the vandalism, the assaults, the murder, everything else, everything that comes with it, they're very common here. They're all over the place. Well, that's interesting. I'm glad you asked that question. Let's come back to that question, shall we? Christopher Wray just sat down to do a sit-down interview, and he was asked, hey, all these protests, are you guys looking into that stuff?
Are you actively monitoring these protests?
We don't monitor protests, but we do share intelligence about specific threats of violence with campuses, with state and local law enforcement, but we don't monitor protests.
Protests? What? Monitor? You mean you want us to look into them? No, man, that's not what we do. That's not what we do. Now, pause for a moment. Pause. I know what you're saying right now. You're rolling your eyes. Maybe you're chucking stuff at the TV saying, Jesse, that's exactly what they do. Think about what they did on January 6th. Okay, I got you. Just stay with me for a moment. Stay with me for a moment. I saw that interview and it reminded me of this little gem. Remember, I just brought up the firebombing. Right after Roe versus Wade got overturned, all these commie street animals across America started vandalizing and throwing Molotov cocktails into these pregnancy centers, these pro-life centers that really, they're wonderful places. They're out there helping young women have a baby, free ultrasounds. They're just wonderful places. And they were getting firebombed all over the country, and there just weren't arrests, maybe one or two here or there, but the FBI wasn't getting any of these people. And Merrick Garland sat in front of Congress, and he was asked why. And this is what he said.
I will say you're quite right. There are many more prosecutions with respect to the blocking of the abortion centers, but that is generally because those actions are taken with photography at the time, during the daylight, and seeing the person who did it is quite easy. Those who are attacking the pregnancy resources centers, which is a horrid thing to do, are doing this at night, in the dark. We have put full resources on this.
I'm trying not to laugh. You probably are too. It's that absurd, isn't it? It's every bit as absurd, if not more absurd, than what Christopher Wray just said. Oh, the terrorists, the street terrorists? Man, that is really bad, and we're upset, but gosh, guys, it's so dark. We're the Justice Department and the FBI, but we can't see in the dark. If someone commits a crime in the dark, our hands are tied. They'll get away with it every time. It's laughably ridiculous, isn't it? So why do they say that? Merrick Garland is the top law enforcement officer in America. Christopher Wray, you could argue, as director of the FBI, is number 2. Look, it's not unreasonable to say. So that's the top 2 law enforcement officers in America giving ridiculous excuses why they just can't seem to crack down on these dirty communists. So why? Well, you know what's going on. You understand that. If you've watched this show for any length of time, you understand exactly what's going on. What's going on is good people are sandwiched. That would be you, normal Americans. Law-abiding American citizens are currently being attacked from the top and from the bottom. And the communists work with each other. The 2 different brands of communism, 2 different divisions, they're not the same, but they work with each other. The elite communist scum at the top, the Joe Bidens, the Christopher Wrays, the Bill Gates of the world, the people who really hold power, the judges, so on and so forth. Who are they? Well, they're communists, but not really true believers. They don't care about any of the causes. They just understand they're a bunch of very violent, very stupid people they can use their anger to get for themselves more money and power. They don't believe in any of these causes, Black Lives Matter, climate change, or whatever. They don't believe in those things, but they do have an important role to play, a critically important role to play. You see, the elite communists, they want more money and power for themselves. And what they need to achieve more money and power for themselves is sometimes they need things done, violent things even. Maybe they need a Supreme Court justice assassinated. Remember when they just tried to kill Brett Kavanaugh? Maybe you just need this Republican event to get shut down. Whatever you may need, you need it done, and Chuck Schumer can't go do it. So what do? Well, you need your street communist scum, the 2nd division. You need them to step in and be your hands and feet, to be your enforcement arm. Now, the street communist scum, these are who? Who are these people? These are the ones we talked about. Mentally ill, most of them. All of them very, very stupid. Stupid people get taken advantage of. That's just part of life. They are true believers, I'll give them that, even though they generally don't understand why. They really think man is warming the climate and stuff like that. So they are true believers, and they're violent. They're very, very violent. In fact, they believe in violence. And why, back to the question we asked in the beginning, why do they do what they do? Why are they all over America? Why are they shutting down highways? Why are they shutting down college campuses? Why are they shutting down pro-life centers? Because they are protected by the elites. The elites have a job. Their job is to direct the street communist scum and then to protect the street communist scum. Did you know that the street communist scum problem in this country, that it could be cleaned up like that? Do you understand that you could stop, shutting down a highway? You could stop that immediately, right now. It would, and in fact, it would be easy, and you wouldn't have to do anything illegal and nothing violent, no vigilante justice, no running them over, nothing like that. Simple law, quick law, automatic 5-year prison sentence. No, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Boom, anyone blocking a highway, done, gone. You would never have the problem again. Even as mentally ill and sick as these people are, if that protection was taken away from them, if it was removed from them, you would never see these protests again. But these protests are ramping up because good people are sandwiched. The elite communist scum on the top, the street communist scum at the bottom. And that is important to understand about the system we have here. When Christopher Wray sits down and gives an answer like that, when Merrick Garland sits down and she gives an answer like that, you should understand they're not speaking to you, they're speaking to the street communists. They're letting them know, hey guys, go get them. That is why you see what you see.